and he was built like a bull, and I froze. I could not. I मतलब out of sheer shock I froze. I said, "Hell, ये तो सामने आ गया, अभी क्या करूंगा?" ठीक है. And I was under cover behind a tree, and I was watching him. So suddenly somebody pushed me from behind. My one of my NCOs, उसने मेरे को छिपा दिया. कहता है पीछे बैठ जा. ठीक है. And then they all opened up, and I also opened up. मैंने कहा चलो भाई, ऐसा नहीं होना चाहिए ना कि भाई हम एक भी राउंड फायर ना करें. 4-5 राउंड तो हमने भी निकाले. हमने कहा भाई चलो यार, I'll also part of the melee, and that we aimed for it.
गुड आफ्टरनून लेडीज एंड जेंटलमैन एंड व्यूअर्स। आज फिर मैं एक ऐसे वॉरियर के साथ हूँ जिनको आप सुनेंगे तो आप खुद ही समझ जाएंगे कि किस तरह के कारनामे इन्होंने अपनी जिंदगी में किए। ये वो वॉरियर हैं जिन्होंने सियाचन से लेके JNK से लेके नॉर्थ ईस्ट से लेके कोई ऐसी जगह नहीं छोड़ी है जहां इन्होंने अपना कंट्रीब्यूशन नहीं किया है। एक बेस्ट पिस्टल के फायरर रहे हैं, ये एयरबॉर्न स्पेशलिस्ट हैं, पैराट्रूपर हैं, स्पेशल फोर्सेस के मेंबर हैं, व्हाट नॉट। मतलब ये एक वो हैं जो हरफन मौला जिसे कहना चाहिए ना, कहीं भी फिट कर दो, एंड ही इज द वन हू कैन सॉर्ट आउट द प्रॉब्लम्स in the armed forces. Now he is in the civil environment as well, again doing well. So before I get into too much of detail, let me just welcome our Colonel Gaurav Chaturvedi, ex-Special Forces. Gaurav, welcome to the show, Win Life Like a Warrior.
Thank you so much, sir. Good afternoon to you, and it's a pleasure being with you, sir. And I really look forward to a very, very nice talk today with you. There's so much to learn from you also, sir. And I feel privileged that you find me worthy enough to speak to the audience and with you, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Gaurav. And in fact, learning is always a two-way process, and we learn throughout our life from each other. So you said correctly. Gaurav, in fact, मैंने कहीं पढ़ा था कि आपको बचपन से ही एक तो आर्मी में और आर्मी में भी पैरा ज्वाइन करने का, जब आप शायद 4 साल के थे, दो यू आर फ्रॉम ए फैमिली ऑफ ए आर्मी family, your father was in army, but from a very young age you always wanted to join army, and that too in the para regiment. How this happened? What was the thought process in the beginning that you wanted to become an army officer and that too in para?
So my father and my uncles, they are all from paras, and मैं उस टाइम पे अपने फादर के साथ ही रहता था. आगरा में यूनिट थी पैरा ब्रिगेड में. एंड मतलब जब मेरा स्कूल शुरू भी नहीं हुआ था, तो आजकल तो लोगों के पास ऑप्शंस बहुत होते हैं ना. आज मॉल में जाना है, बच्चों को इधर करना है. हमारे टाइम में इतने ऑप्शंस नहीं होते थे. तो हमारा जो फेवरेट पास टाइम होता था, इवन एट दैट यंग एज, एट अ टॉडलर एज, दैट कि फादर की ओपन जीप में बैठ करके एंड वो जंप देखने जाते थे हम लोग, पैरा जंप्स. और वो इतना मतलब इट हिट माय हार्ट. इट एक्चुअली इट शुक मी फ्रॉम माय सोल कि आई मीन दीज आर द पीपल, दिस इज व्हाट आई वांट टू डू इन माय लाइफ. एंड मेरे घर में उस टाइम पे ब्रिटिश कंगोल बेरेज होती थी, ओरिजिनल कंगोल्स. आजकल वो नहीं होती हैं. तो कंगोल्स रहती थी, स्टील हेलमेट्स पड़े रहते थे डैड के. एंड देन पैरास का दैट आउट ऑफ एरिया ट्रेनिंग वगैरह बहुत होता है. तो कभी सडनली कोडवर्ड आ जाएगा, तो आई यूज्ड टू सी माय फादर गेटिंग रेडी इन हिज फुल बैटल गियर, गोइंग आउट. एंड हिज सोल्जर्स यूज्ड टू कम. उनकी जोंगा जीप आती थी, वो ट्रेलर होता था उस टाइम पे. तो उनका रेडियो ऑपरेटर था हवलदार भूप सिंह, वेरी हैंडसम पर्सन, वेरी वेरी टॉल जाट फ्रॉम हरियाणा. तो उसने मेरे को गोदी में उठाया एक दिन और उसको बोनेट पे उठा दिया जब तक डैड आ रहे थे. बोलते हैं भाई बड़ा होके क्या करेगा तू, ये बता रहे. तो मैंने बोला कि अंकल मैं तो भैया फौज में ही आऊंगा, 7 पैरा में ही आऊंगा. कहते देख ले, वादे वाली बात है, अब मुकर मत जाना तू बड़े होके. ठीक है, मेरा वादा है. तो आई कैन नेवर फॉरगेट दैट एक्सप्रेशन इन हिज so I used to go to the battalion during games, and I used to practice sometimes with the athletic team, sometimes play games with them. तो जब मेरा बचपन ही ऐसा हुआ, तो मेरे लिए और कोई मैंने अपने लिए कोई ऑप्शन ही नहीं छोड़ा लाइफ में. because that was my passion, and that was, I must bring in. So, I used to laugh when I became a colonel and I got some civil exposure in Assam Rifles. So I used to laugh at them. I used to tell them, "Ki, guys, you are talking all the time about chasing your dream." मैंने कहा यार, I have been living my dream all the time. मैंने कहा, so live your dream. Don't chase it all the time. Chasing is not the fun. Start living your dream, what your passions, what you want to do. So it is just like this, sir. So that's how
Yeah,
I do the decision of joining the army, and of course, not a bit of a regret. If I get another life, I want to do the same thing, join the same unit.
certainly. Everyone. Regrets का तो कोई सवाल ही नहीं होता एक फौजी के लिए. Once a फौजी, always remains a फौजी.
Yeah, yeah.
Even in the second birth also.
Yes, absolutely. So,
So thereafter, how did you happen to join the?
sir, my life was also just like an army officer's brat, an army brat. We stay, growing up at various places. But my mother was a doctor. So, after seventh class, we decided that I have to stay with my grandparents. So I was growing up with them. And my grandfather was a very strict disciplinarian. And for him also, army was the ultimate, mukam. Though my mother, my grandmother, everybody wanted me to become a doctor because my mother was a doctor. But I was never interested in becoming a doctor. I used to find it so horrible, all those dissections. And although I studied a lot of biology in my graduation also. And but I got into NCC, and then I got into a lot of mountaineering. I got the NCC Best Mountaineer of the Award at maybe 17 years of age, pan India. And
Okay,
I did various mountaineering courses. I did 2, 3 expeditions also. And then from then on, I started preparing for the army. And in the journey, I got an NCC certificate. I used to be maybe average in studies, but I used to be very active otherwise. In NCC, in sports, games, taking part in exhibitions, college activities, taking part in school plays, everything. I used to be almost an all-rounder. In fact, in St. John's College, Agra, once I got selected, they gave me a special prize when I was joining the army. And
okay,
yeah, as a totally all-rounder student and this thing. So it was like this, and then I gave the OTA. I got through in my first attempt so at 19 years of age, I joined the OTA. By 20 years, 4 months, I was an officer because OTA is it's a short training, 10, 11 months. By the time you realize what is happening, you are out. And then I joined 7 Para, my father's unit. It was an absolute joy to join it, and absolute very tough times to clear the probation because I did my training. In fact, 4, 5 months of my training, I had a chest infection in Chennai. I had some kind of a bronchitic infection, and I that continued with me, for a long time. And during my probation, also, I had a lot of difficulty because of that. But finally, himmate mard madad khuda. One has to maybe the grounding and maybe the focus which my father and my grandfather gave me, and the kind of training with the NCC instructors gave me, and in the college, or maybe my atmosphere was like this. So I didn't never lost focus, and I never lost hope. Focus, hope, and determination carries you through. And finally, I joined the battalion cross country team. I joined the battalion athletics team. Matlab, I did everything possible. So that was a journey. It was full of pleasure. It was. And what happens is, unlike the civilian atmosphere, in the army, make sure that you undergo your wee bits of small victories in life. Small victories are very important to keep yourself motivated. Okay,
yes,
okay, I did this, I did BPT in maybe 22 minutes, or maybe, I did this today, I fired well, I did a briefing well. So those small happinesses, army teaches you to derive. And of course, the bonhomie and the brotherhood which starts from day one in the armed forces, you become part of a larger family.
I
So
agree. I
that was,
agree.
yeah,
I, I,
yeah.
I fully agree with you, Gaurav. So one thing, like you joined OTA, and in the OTA you opted for para and you got the para. But
Yes, sir.
yeah, that uh, in fact many people wanted to join para, but everybody doesn't get it. There are a lot of casualties because everybody doesn't fit in that. So, what do you think in the hindsight, in the retrospect now, that what was that special attributes in you which made you to get this in the one go? Otherwise, the people opt from they go in some other unit and then finally again they opted and then they get it.
Yes,
But
yes.
getting from the academy itself is not a easy thing. Is not an easy thing unless you are in a top something bracket.
Yeah, so I never did bad in the academy. I was excellent in studies, outstanding in services subjects all the time. And I was lucky that I got para. I mean, frankly, I'm very grateful to God also that I got it. And of course, I also applied for a parental claim because my father is a 71 war casualty.
Yes.
So
yes.
all these things combined, they propelled me into the direction in life which I wanted to follow. However, everybody in the academy is equally good. I mean, I will not say that I was very special or anything. I have course-mates who gave their life for the nation, maybe within the first 7, 8 of us in the first 3, 4 years of our service, only at very young age. And I have some amazingly brilliant course-mates of mine who are doing very well in the corporate also. But yeah, your motivation, your determination, and I think your positivity should never, you should, you know, unknowing at that time, and now I know about it. I think somewhere the chatter in your brain also matters a lot. The afterthought in your brain, which is there all the time. All of us keep thinking, about something in the other. Unfortunately, a large number of us keep thinking what will go wrong. I am a kind of person that even when I'm facing a lot of odds, I will think of what can go right.
Yes.
Marcus Aurelius in Meditations, who preaches Stoicism, he has also said, no, that when death smiles at you, what can you do? You should smile back.
Yes.
A lot of people keep, वो एक बार ही डरना है ना लाइफ में.
Yes.
एक ही बार मरना है. रोज के रोज डरना और मरना नहीं है.
Absolutely.
So one has to take his best foot forward. And of course, I was average in physical, but I made sure that I stood up to the challenge of the para probation. I cleared everything just the way it should be cleared. And at the end of the day, I became better than a lot of people, by my sheer hard work. And of course, I should never forget the guidance and my mentors in the battalion, my seniors who were there at that time, and some of my juniors also later on. You get your best friends in the army.
Yes.
All officers would, this concept of best friend and best buddy in life also is a very military concept. One or two of your friends, they become your best friend. Maybe your immediate senior or immediate junior, or maybe both of them. You become a
Yes.
very thick group because you undergo so many hardships together. So they played a very big role. Colonel Ajay Kumar is my immediate junior, and Brigadier Samir Karol is my immediate senior. They played a very large role in molding my life as it came across. Samir was very good in studies again, and he would always kick me to study. And
Okay.
Ajay was very good in physical, and Ajay had that British SAS devil may care attitude. He would never be afraid of even the CO. If he is angry, he will, in front of him only in the mess or somewhere, he'll ask me near, why he's so angry, what's wrong with him? And I'll give him. So I guess the three of us got along very well. We still get along very well, and we were lucky to have each other. I was lucky, I was blessed to have them in my life. And that's how life took me across. So a lot of hope, a lot of hard work, a lot of focus, a lot of determination, and yeah, a lot of humor. A lot of humor and laughter all the time.
Humor is very important to carry on in the life, and that too when there are the difficult moments. Yes.
Absolutely.
So, when you were doing this probation, at any point of time, did you feel because I know that para probation is a ultimate.
Yeah.
And it's not a physical, it's a basically mental toughness.
Yeah.
Isn't it? So any point of time whether you said, "Oh wow, this is what I wanted, yaar. यही तो चाहिए था मुझे." Or any moment of time when you say, "अरे यार कहाँ फंसे?"
Actually, if I may, it's a very funny thing to say, but then, para probation is designed to break you psychologically
Yes.
and to see if after breaking psychologically you can carry on or no. So there would be very few people who would not have broken at some time because it is brutal, it is ruthless, and it is hard. It is not meant to be, it is not meant for young boys. It's not a child's play. It is meant to be tough, and it is meant to, make you evolve and grow as a human being. As a man or as a woman, I mean, now since women are also planning to come to paras and all they do, a lot of women are there in the parachute, this thing in the arms and services. So, uh, it is meant to be that, and definitely I would agree that I had broken down once or twice, and I decided to know I want to go back to Gorkhas. My parent calling is 8 Gorkhas. So, sometime at night, whatever time I got to rest, I used to think, yeah, what am I doing here? Yeah, let's go back and have a kushila. And all the top of it, I got a DO from the CO also of that unit. That okay, you are welcome to join us whenever you want to.
Okay.
So, but then of course, seven para being seven para, I prevailed and I psychologically I could get through to the probation. That's how it happened. But yeah, if you say that it was, uh, uh, I was in Manipur, and 91 was a time when Vietnam War was fresh. We grew up, listening about it, reading about it. Sri Lanka was fresh in the army. My unit had gone to Sri Lanka for some time. Maldives was fresh in the parachute. My unit was one of the units we went to Maldives.
Okay.
So, and the way paratroopers, the way the battalion used to move also, the way it used to happen, it used to give me the biggest high. I used to think, bus, this is the place I am, the way. And the best part was that during probation, I used to see that there is a different swagger in the para guys. The way they walk, the way they talk, even the other ranks, the soldiers, the paratroopers, the way they talk to each other, they are so confident. They have no fear of anything in life. And I used to observe that at times when patrols used to go, they were wearing a maroon berets instead of big steel helmets and all. They used to look very handsome to me. And I used to feel, yeah, this is the thing. I mean, for a 20 and a half year old young boy, this is the ultimate high of life,
Absolutely.
that you are there and you are just there, just about to be there. And you will observe them and a lot of good training, a lot of firing, a lot of good PT. The kind of PT they used to do in the battalion, I think I have never seen it anywhere. And the kind of bonhomie, the kind of jokes they used to crack on each other and me at
Yes.
time.
Yes.
So I mean, I never had a regret going there, but yes, I found it very tough at times, and I struggled through it at times, and I sailed through it at times. I mean, it was both, but ultimately, nothing succeeds like success.
Yes.
So that's how it is.
That's the spirit. That's the spirit that you sail through and you don't give up.
Yeah.
Because failure is means you don't never fail. You just learn and then progress and then success.
Yes, and so giving it a corporate twist. Sitting in an AC office, people don't smile. I see a large number of people. They are like as if the world is going to end by the end. It is not like this. I mean, sometimes I feel there is so much more to life. Life is meant to be lived with a lot of joy.
Yes. Yes.
And I frankly feel, which of course I might not be doing, I will not be very open about it. When you are leaving the army, for veterans also, and for young people who want to start a career in the corporate, you should always do, undergo professional personality analysis, find out your direction and bearing as to what's your calling, what's your passion, and you should do that.
Yes.
Because if you're not doing it, it robs you a lot of joy, in your life.
Yes.
खुशी बहुत जरूरी है, अंदरूनी खुशी.
Absolutely. It is happiness at the end of the day. It's a happiness.
Yeah, and a large number of people, they cop it, they fail, they start giving up on them. You fail when you start giving up on yourself by listening and looking at others. I guess is never to look at others for inspiration. You should be an inspiration to yourself. If in the morning the person who's shaving or looking in the mirror, the first thing, if you should feel good about yourself every morning. You should feel proud of yourself, and it carries you through.
No doubt, no doubt,
And
no doubt.
Yeah. So I am very wild also. I'm like I ride motorbikes and this thing. So, but wild side is also keeping your child, the kid inside you intact. I mean, you should be disciplined. You should be disciplined, but you should be a little wild. You should have that mad streak sometimes in you. I mean, that's my regiment.
Yes.
So while in the office, you have to be a good boy. You have to behave yourself, dress up. The way. I mean, you have to do in Rome. You have to do what the Romans do. But remember, the Romans also had wild Romans in them. So you should be a wild Roman with Romans also. Sometimes you should, you should laugh, have a hearty laugh, at yourself also.
Yeah.
That's how it is. And nothing should bog you down ever in life.
Absolutely. And there is a very important thing which you brought out, Gaurav, that the child in you should never die. Child should always remain. And if you want to be happy, then the child should always remain with you.
Absolutely.
Very true. Gaurav, you mentioned about this Maldives and other operations. And as I know that 7 Para is a airborne specialist.
Yes, sir.
So there are many terminologies. Okay. There is a para regiment, para airborne, para SF. A lot of confusing stuff for the person who is not part of this gambit. So you may like to give a little idea about that. What is what and how they differentiate in the size, role, and maybe the task of weapons.
So parachute regiment is one large encompassing regiment, part of the infantry. It has two kinds of battalions. One is in the original parasf units and the parasf airborne units. So see, initially there were just 1, 9, and 10 para commandos. They were called commando units.
Yes.
And then 3 para was a para unit at that time, which was one of the oldest units. 2 para and 3 para, they're one of the oldest units in India, in the Indian Army. 2 para is perhaps one of the 1 and 2 para are the oldest units of Indian Army. Most, I mean, around that. There would be units, this thing, but so 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, they were all para units. They were airborne units, which you call.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, so when I got commissioned, my unit was an airborne unit, and our basic role was to carry out airborne assault in small groups and in large groups, as big a group as a brigade.
Oh.
Yeah. So giving you just an example of the Russian army presently, because that's the most fresh war which is going on. So, Russian army has Spetsnaz and it has VDV. So the original Hostomel operation, which was done, it was done by selected VDV troops and by a small group of Spetsnaz supporting them. The operation to capture Hostomel airport, which unfortunately did not succeed. But also, I must bring out that parachute regiment operations, both para, SF, and airborne, they are either spectacular successes or they are spectacular failures. There's nothing in between.
Oh.
So then the commando units were converted to special forces on lines of the British SAS and taking the best of the Green Berets of the US and other special forces in the world. So if you come to think of it, they are so SF units originally had lesser manpower. They were on an assault team and squad concept, while para units had a larger manpower because they had to drop and hold ground also. Holding ground is traditionally not an SF task. They only hold
Yes.
their hides and this thing. So that is the main difference. So thereby the difference in the role. While the normal paratroopers, para airborne units, they are also trained to work as guerrillas, carry out, little groups of paratroopers behind the enemy lines. They can be dropped and create a lot of, destroy bridges. Special forces at that time, they were tasked with reconnaissance and surveillance behind the enemy lines, establishing detachments, carrying out, directing airstrikes. So, and their weaponry, of course, gradually became better and better because the Indian Army realized that the weaponry has to be different and better. Lighter weapons, foldable rifles, force multiplier kind of weapons more, the use and throw weapons, if I may say,
Okay.
that, like you can just, the lightweight C-90 rocket launchers were there, bunker busters, so you can just use it and throw it. So these differences. And then the special forces units are based on assault teams, and they are trained to operate in very very small groups of 4 or 5 also at times. So in my times, in the 90s, this was only a concept for para units, and then of course my unit was in field for 8 years. So once we came back to the para brigade fold, and we also started training this thing, and now of course all units have been labeled as special forces with different roles. So, like there are mod deserts, there are SF units for deserts, there will be SF units for mountains, there will be SF units for northeast.
Okay.
Similarly, so this is how it is. So,
Okay.
this is the major difference. And of course, special forces units will have a pool system of weapons. They will have a very vast variety of weapons to be used as and when in operation. They won't carry all the weapons all the time.
Perfect. Perfect.
Just like the TK. And actually, this is the major difference. So sometimes we used to compare the para units with the Rangers and the SF units with the Green Berets. But then all these are all talks which ultimately leads to a lot of bad blood in the regiment, and it can lead to uh, a lot of unpleasant situations for because after all you are part of the same regiment.
Yes.
However, there are differences in this thing. There are differences, and so we should just respect each other. I mean, if I were to, I have commanded an Assam Rifle unit. I would say that an Assam Rifle doctor, not a regular army doctor, is as important to the unit for that fighting entity as the commanding officer from the parachute regiment might be. Or
Absolutely.
maybe
Absolutely.
that when somebody is hit, the doctor is more important than the CO also actually at that
Absolutely.
time.
Absolutely. See,
So
uh, role of anybody cannot be,
uh,
you can say, undermined.
hmm.
हर एक का रोल अपनी जगह is equally important.
Abhi,
Everyone.
in the Ukraine, the Russian thrusts, they petered out in that cold last year because the logistic echelons could not match up with the speed of advance.
Yes.
So we realized that the Army Services Corps is also more important than that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. No denying the fact. This you
At
cannot
that
deny.
time, yeah. So at that time, those logistic echelons would be more important than the special forces who are operating
Yes.
ahead. Because if the food doesn't reach, if the fuel doesn't reach, if the ammunition doesn't reach, how will you fire? How will you fight?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Absolutely.
So, and in Kargil War also, I have been part of Kargil War in the Mashko Valley. I have seen it live, how important it's a cohesive, larger fighting team has to be. You know, there is a team at a company level or a company assault team or whatever. Then there is a brigade. Then there is a division. So everybody has to be trained in a manner that it is a mutually supporting battle, a synchronized theater battle or a tactical battle, which is to be fought at all levels.
And
And
that
if
is why, we call it a fighting machine.
yes,
It's it's a fighting machine.
yes. So we are going in for those integrated battle group concepts. So what I also try to do wherever I work in the corporate is that I try to get the MDMP, the military decision making process. I try to combine it with the corporate decision making process, though both are poles apart. But if you can take out the good part of both and make it works really well. One example I can give you that corporate people have a lot of leeway to, challenge each other all the time, tear the plan to apart, which we do in paras also. We tear each other's plans apart before we go. So when the plan becomes a plan, when it comes into execution stage, so in corporate, it comes to execution stage, action stage, and in the army, it will come to a order stage, off order stage. We have a
Yes.
almost faultless plan from our side, but no plan survives the first contact.
Yes.
So that is where the army resilience has to come into that plan.
Yes.
And also, whether what we have to imbibe from the armed forces is that once you have given your views and a plan has been concretized, then there is no going back. There is no, murmur of, dissent and all. Once you're going with full, your entire engagement, at the point of engagement, your entire weight of combat arm should be there.
Absolutely.
So, which I find sometimes in corporate it differs because people will keep feeling grumpy. No, they did not listen to me. This that. But once you're given your view and you've done it, you do it. Then make a plan and execute it in phases. And execute just the way it has to be executed. Be true to yourself. Have that integrity. Do the right thing when nobody is watching. That's how it
Absolutely.
has to be. It will give you much more happiness than to feeling grumpy and grumbling, mumbling all the time about it.
So true, Gaurav. So true. If we follow this kind of attitude, that once the thing has been decided on ground with the consent of everyone, then there is no going back from that.
Yeah.
It should be allowed first to implement. So, Gaurav, if I'm not wrong, you first joined in the Manipur. Your unit
Yes,
was
sir.
in Manipur, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
So, as a after your probation in the para, and then you joined the unit, then you must have gone and had a first combat experience. What was that like? People would like to
Oh,
know.
okay. So I was very lucky. I had 2, 3 combat experiences. Some very funny, some very good. So my first, of course, combat experience was in a place called Tarao in Manipur, where Manipur is in the limelight today.
Yeah,
It's in news.
very
But
bad situation.
having done 3 tenures over there, I can talk about it a lot. But then, okay, we'll refrain from that. So let's go back to Tarao operation. Tarao is a place in South Manipur, between a place called Chandel and Moltok. So
Okay.
it's like Moltok is South Manipur, Chandel is slightly less South Manipur. It's more of south east of Manipur. So between that, there are dense tertiary forests, rainforests where actually the sunlight also doesn't reach, and when you are walking in a nala or a river bed or something, or in a river itself, or on a jungle track, sometimes you feel suffocated because of the humidity and because no sunlight is coming. There are insects flying, there are leeches which stick to. So we went in for a raid in Tarao, and the commanding officer himself went. And I was quite exhausted. It was my this thing, and CO could see that I'm looking a little, off color and all. And CO was, of course, he became a lieutenant general, and he was a fantastic CO, of our battalion, and he used to lead from the front all the time. Very physically fit, very handsome, tall. So
कौन
he
थे?
asked me, Lieutenant General R.K. Mehta.
Okay.
His nickname is Misty Mehta. So yeah, so he was there, and he had trained the unit really well before coming to Manipur, and it was visible in that operation. So when we were reaching the final stages in the morning, there was at night at around 3, the surveillance detachments went ahead, and they confirmed that there is indeed movement in the jungle and there seems to be a hideout, and then they confirmed sighting militants over there. So all the stops over there. So I was with the CEO, and before, when we were climbing a small hill, he told me, Master Gaurav, what you do that you put a stop here. So I felt very disappointed. मैंने कहा यार what the hell यार, he left me out of action. But a little did I realize that CEO will not be doing the raid himself. He will be in a vantage point, controlling the whole thing, coordinating the whole thing, not even controlling. You can't control anything at that time. But CEO and his, adjutant, they are coordinating the whole thing, the entire operation. So and I said, suddenly there was, firefight started, and there was, and I froze. I go, oh hell, yaar, ye to shuru hi ho gaya. And you will not believe it that there was a river. I can never forget. I tell it in my every talk. There was this river on the other side. We were sitting, and there was a track coming along the hill. And you will not believe it, sir, that I saw two of them, one of them moving ahead, and he had a G3A3. G3A3 is that HK G3A3. The Pak Army has also got G3A3s. So he had a G3A3, and he was carrying it, and he was built like a bull. And I froze. I could not. मतलब out of sheer shock I froze. I said, "Hell, ये तो सामने आ गया. अभी क्या करूँगा?" ठीक है. And I was under cover behind a tree, and I was watching him. So suddenly somebody pushed me from behind. One of my NCOs. उसने मेरे को छिपा दिया. कहता है पीछे बैठ जा. ठीक है. And then they all opened up, and I also opened up. मैंने कहा चलो भाई ऐसा नहीं होना चाहिए ना कि भाई हम एक भी राउंड फायर ना करें. 4-5 राउंड तो हमने भी निकाले. हमने कहा भाई चलो यार, आई विल आल्सो पार्ट ऑफ द मेली, एंड दैट वी हिट दैट गाय. मतलब इट वाज वेरी हार्ड टू मिस हिम. You nobody can miss him. He's such an open target. So one was that we were very good. We were very well, covered. We were well camouflaged and undercover, so he could not see us. And of course, the firing and all was very accurate. So we got that thing. Then we, carried his remains, his body to the village after a while. And
Yeah, okay.
I also became, I got a lot of congratulations, well done from people from the entire unit. Badi khushi hui ki chalo yaar, ye ho gaya. Of course, that hideout was also busted. I think one more militant was injured very badly over there. So that's how it happened. And the second time it happened was, then there was actually, what happened was that there was some movement reported in Chanderi. And there was something happened, and the entire company operating base opened up. The company commander asked for quick reaction team reinforcements. So I went with the 2IC. And after that first success, I was quite high about life. The boss, अभी तो ऐसे होता है. And I was in Clint Eastwood style. I took a 9mm pistol and I was carrying it like this. So my 2IC asked me, "Hey, what do you think you are doing in the jungle?" He says, "Put the fucking pistol down." He says, "You will fire on someone." And he gave me a nice, 2-3 military lingo abuses in my ear, and then I was nicely tactically again sound. Then we did a lot of search. Yeah, we found a lot of empty cases, and we found telltales of ambushes being set up. So in those days, no, there was no ceasefire with NSC and IM, NSC and K, or with anyone. So it was very common for people to lay ambushes on us. So counter ambush drills, road opening, and that was the order of the day. And we had to be very careful because ambushes in Manipur and Nagaland in the Northeast have been very bad all the time. They've been very effective and very, very tough. A lot of casualties on the Indian Army side. So these are the two things. And then in the third encounter, I lost my radio operator. There was so that was quite a shocker again. So after one big high, I kept getting shocked in operations. So every operation is a different experience in itself. You can't take your enemy lightly. You can't be overconfident. You can't be arrogant. You have
Yes.
to do what is the correct, what is right. You have to follow your drills. You have to believe. Most importantly, you have to believe in yourself all the time.
Yes.
If you don't believe in yourself, you will never have contact.
Absolutely.
And in this operation, in the third operation, we walked all night. There was a hailstorm, and we kept walking in the hailstorm and dense jungle. And I used to be sent out quite a lot by the unit, luckily, in South Manipur. And you know it was so when we entered the village, it was around 3 or 4 in the morning. We were setting up an ambush. One single round guy my operator and buddy, he just passed away. He got KIA there within. मतलब he just said कि साहब मेरे गोली लग गई. He was moved. Yeah. He साहब मेरे गोली बस इतना मैंने सुना था. After that, he was. And the worst part was that I thought he's having a breath because when you're having a pulse, because sometimes the weather was so bad and this thing when you touch him, your own pulse transmutes. You can feel your own pulse throbbing in that heat of action and this thing. So I tried to resuscitate him for 3-4 hours. I thought we can save him. He's alive. But finally, somebody came. Quick reaction teams came from the unit in vehicles and all. They could be. So I was in a very bad shape mentally.
That was when you were commanding?
No, sir. I was a second lieutenant. 20 years का बता रहा हूँ.
Okay.
21 years of age. ये first 3 encounters.
So the radio operator was with you, in fact.
Yeah. I was a patrol commander, so he was with me. And then of course, on the funnier side, we went to a place called Sitang. It's a very famous place. Second World War, this thing on Myanmar border and More and More, that area. Yeah. So we were in an ambush, and again at around 3 or 4 in the morning, there was this person who came with a huge, something on his head, and we were told that you ऐसे ही आएगा. So instead of firing this time, we challenged him. Okay, halt, thumb, okay. So he threw that dalia on the ground and ran away. And sir, there were 24 cans of honeycomb beer in it.
Okay.
So we just called off the ambush. We took the beer to the battalion. There was a big party on those 24 cans of beer. Every people in my life बोलते हुए पहली बार तुमने ठीक काम किया है लाइफ में.
And he disappeared.
See, he ran away back into Myanmar. And since he did not have a weapon and this thing, so we did not fire it because we had to be very careful. You can't just knock off everyone around.
I know. True. I mean, army, first of all, is a human.
Yeah.
We are first human.
Yes. So then we pulled out, and then of course we went to a peace location where I ran cross country. Then I was sent as ADC to GOC, 36 Rapids. So that was another different experience. I was a lieutenant actually, sir, with just 2 years of service, 2.5 years of service. So the general looked at me and he said, why is the battalion sent a college boy as my ADC? So that's how the friendship started and still continues. That's how the bonhomie started with the general officer. He was large-hearted. He was a great guy, very mischievous. Major Leslie Chopra from 7th
Okay.
He commanded a unit and great person. I learned a lot. I mean, whatever I am today, actually, I learned a lot from him. How to give briefings, how to be well prepared, how to dress up, how to keep yourself. For me, it was like a great exposure, a short service officer serving with a general. And he used to teach me a lot, and there's no doubt. And I used to have very, very funny incidents with him all the time. Like one day he told me कि कारपेंटर बुलाना है. तो I thought कार पेंट करा देना. So I looked at his red colored Maruti 800. मैंने कहा यार इसमें क्या पेंट कराना है, मतलब ये तो ठीक ही हालत में है. तो I rang up someone. मैंने कहा यार GOC has said that this car is to be painted. So GOC had gone out actually for 2 days. So when he came, so there was this tow vehicle होती है ना, उससे उठा करके पूरी गाड़ी पूरी चेक कहता है what the fuck is happening to my car? I said you only told me to get it painted. He says damn it, I asked you to get a carpenter, not to get the car painted.
My God.
So again, as I was mentioned, but he used to be also very humorous all the time with me. He used to call me his misguided missile. He says, "Don't play around with me. I'll loosen my misguided missile on you." So, and then of course we went the battalion. We went to Siachen. Siachen was another great experience. See, you have to be lucky. Army क्यों join करते हैं आप? मेरे ख्याल से हर एक ऑफिसर या जवान का मुद्दा मेन, चाहे वो किसी भी उसका होता है कि फायर फाइट्स और ऑपरेशंस में वो हिस्सा ले. And see, God was so kind to me that he kept sending me back into action and again and again and again. So that high, that thrill of action was always there in life. So I feel blessed.
I believe you had 3 tenure in Siachen.
Yes, sir, I went up thrice. Yes, sir, I went up thrice in Siachen. Instead of once, I was lucky that I went up thrice. Once I went for recce, so I got stuck for 45 days because of bad weather. Then, of course, my induction took place, which lasted for around 5 months, not for 90 days, because some officers were less. And then actually something happened with my best friend's dad. So I volunteered to go and relieve for the last 2 months. So I went back up. And, so I was in Southern Glacier. And at that time, there was no ceasefire as Pakis. And Paki artillery is also quite accurate, just like ours. ऐसा नहीं है कि बोलो. So I learned to respect our enemy over there. I got some very hard lessons of life that it is not like this. Enemy has to be respected. They are also trained soldiers. And they are not bad human beings also if you interact with them. They are okay. I mean, ठीक है ये तो देखिए war लड़ाई ये तो सब सियासत के खेल हैं कभी होती है कभी नहीं but across the world I have experienced that I have trained with a lot of armies 3 4 armies of the world. All soldiers are very good human beings. All soldiers, all human beings, when challenged for their life, can do the most barbaric things possible which nobody can dream of. It is a fight for survival at that time, you and your buddy. And thirdly, I also learned that one should respect all soldiers across the board, all human beings across the board. One should have a lot of humility in himself. And one should not be very, arrogant about everything. All this loud talking and table thumping and कि हम ये कर देंगे, वो कर देंगे. You would be. I don't believe in it. I just do my job quietly and come home. Even in the corporate, I don't make a lot of noise. This has been somebody asks me, what have you done? So I give them a presentation, and it surprises all of them most of the times. Oh, all this has been done. Otherwise, I'm not the kind who will go and keep कि ये हो गया वो हो गया. It's okay. Life is much bigger. That's what I learned.
Yeah. Any very unique experience at the Siachen since you had a 3 tenure there?
Yeah, Siachen was every day full of experiences. Like, so Colonel Ajay was my company second in command there. He was on the forward post. And, we used to do something called fire assault, something akin to these surgical strikes at that time. And I remember after that fire assault and one or two after that, when the Pakis fire also stopped on us. So just imagine walking at 18,000 feet on a snow field, on a glacier, sometimes absolutely alone, just one man walking. No, because I didn't want to risk my man. It's a very foolhardy thing to do. It's a very, very false bravado thing to do. And, there used to be, sometimes there used to be moon, sometimes there used to be absolute pitch dark. We would never switch on the torch because, we used to think that maybe the Pakis are also, observing or something. And sometimes I have walked back alone. And there have been times that I have been on patrols in Siachen Glacier and fallen into crevasses in water at minus 17 degrees. After at some point in below the ice there is water flowing. So if I was not roped up properly, I would have got flown and frozen within 2 minutes. So my soldiers pulled me out, and by the time I reached my hut, it took me around 25 minutes of walking back, 30 minutes of walking back. I was almost frozen dead. So immediately the doctor took off my clothes and he put a lot of hot water. So they had passed on the radio, okay, aisa aisa ho gaya. So they had put hot water bottles ready. And this, the fiberglass hut, they had heated it up with stoves and all. So when I entered, it was nice and warm. And then for 1 minute, I thawed actually for 1 hour. From ice, I started thawing, back to life. Then I have had incidents when, I've gone to take pictures across the ice wall toward the Paki side. And perhaps I got compromised. The Pakis saw me. So with one or two more people, my radio operator and one buddy. So we came back and we wanted to go back to our mother base. And what happened was that once we, perhaps they were वो एक twist आगे दे रहे थे, एक click आगे mortar का. And that round kept following us only, sir. The rounds, as we were going down, the rounds were following us. And it is the most terrifying feeling to be under artillery or mortar fire, because you don't know where will the round fall. So, and then the snow scooter did not start because it was an old, dilapidated snow scooter. So we were under fire, trying to run away. And we had a huge, very expensive battalion camera with us. So at that time, the dedication and the focus is actually more on not on saving yourself, but on saving that camera with all the pictures and, taking them back, giving to the CEO who was waiting on the base, who was very, very worried. And, at that time, somebody passed on the intercom and the radio, कि भाई गौरव साहब तो मारा गया आज. So he was actually talking कि जैसे होता है ना कि वो बाप रे आज मर गए, but he was the pressure switch was दबा हुआ था. So CEO said कि I have literally died. So my CEO also got very, very worried. And then when he saw me coming on the binocular, then things got okay. So then when I reached my base, so सबसे पहले मेरे को बोला बंदों ने मेरे के साथ पहले जरा मंदिर में मत्था टेक लो फिर आगे जाना आज. और senior JC told me, like senior JC was at that time were those old senior JC was a lot of authority. So Subedar Sultan Singh was my senior JCO. So he told me कि आगे से ऐसा नहीं करोगे, समझे, सबको डरा के रखा हुआ है, सब चिंता में बैठे हैं, आइंदा से मत करना ये सब काम. ठीक है. And he was very, very angry with me, but then he got okay. He was very worried, that's why he was angry.
Naturally, nature. And these senior JCOs were like a fatherly figure.
Yes, they are. They are. Yeah.
They used to worry about the young officers so much because they know that in future they are going to be the commanding officers and they are the one who will carry on the battalion and the units. So this fire was means that arty fire of the.
It was mortar fire, sir.
Mortar fire.
Yeah, it was overhead fire.
Okay. And which was, you can see it is coming to you.
You can hear it coming actually, like there's a sort of a whistle which comes.
I have seen even this post Kargil. I was in this Kargil battalion only, Kargil brigade. I was there. We used to see that जो आरटी के सेल थे ना ऊपर से like a flying object ना करके ऊपर से निकले, आप नीचे सोए हुए कॉट पे और ऊपर से that cells are going and you can see it's like a Diwali is going on. And,
total Diwali.
Yeah. So yes, it happens.
Yeah.
Thereafter, I believe you had a second in command also in the J&K only.
Sir, I was in J&K. My unit was there. I was a company commander. I was a senior company commander, and of course, there also a lot of action we saw. We used to be in North Kashmir. Paras most of the times in North Kashmir. Well, used to be at that time in North Kashmir only, or in these downtown areas and all in Srinagar. So anyway, so we saw a lot of movement. We saw a lot of action, and in Machal sector, I used to be in Machal sector, and during winters, the walk back to leave used to be on foot around 48 kilometers. तो most of the time so छुट्टी जाने से मना ही कर रहे थे कि जाना ही नहीं है यार इधर ही रहो ठीक है. Who's going to walk so much just to go and leave? Morning 4 o'clock you start from your COB and then you reach by evening 4 or this thing, because you have to climb the entire Shamshabari Range, Z Gully, and then go up to Kalarus. You have to walk, so it's a long distance. And then of course there a lot of we had encounters there also. One prominent incident I remember where we were under very heavy fire on a village square in the middle of the village, and we fired a rocket launcher and we fired it at short distance from 90 meters. It should be fired beyond around the fuse gets activated beyond 90-100 meters. So the RL round did not burst. So then to carry, then we took the RL back, and then we was again got it fired and told them to fire again. So the learning from this is that every time when you are under fire, you can't be brave. Sometimes you do get rattled up.
Mm.
You do tend to. So a good soldier and a good human being, a good person would be who can, hold his ground at that time. I mean, डर तो सभी को लगता है,
Yeah,
ऐसा
no
नहीं है कि
doubt.
डर नहीं लगता,
Yeah.
बट उस डर के आगे जीत तो करनी पड़ती है. And I think that's what you learn in the army and the parachute regiment and infantry mainly, that how to hold yourself under fire, how to
Yes.
be visible as a leader, how to be heard as a leader at that time. And I think the men will look up to you at that time. They
Absolutely.
want to hear your voice, they want to see you what you're doing.
Yes.
So you have to be very conscious of that. You have to be very aware of the thing, that okay, if I don't do the right thing at the right time, so that's where the battle drill, the continuous repeated training under fire, uh, that helps. The more you train, the better it is in action. The harder you train, the more you train. It's all repeat of the same thing. Keep repeating,
Yes.
keep repeating, keep checking before action. Keep check, recheck, check, recheck. To the point of being cynical, you should check things.
Yes.
Yeah. So then,
A quote, and the more you sweat in the piece and the less you bleed in the war.
yeah. And once you join the encounter, then you should enjoy it also. फिर
Yes.
डरना नहीं चाहिए. फिर तो मरना है, मारना है. फिर
Yes.
डर गए तो फिर God has given you those 5 minutes of glory in your life, which you'll remember. Maybe tell your grandchildren also about it.
Yes.
Don't lose it ever.
Yes. 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 So true. So true. So true. And what you really said, Gaurav, is part of the leadership quality that fear is a natural phenomena. Everyone has to be fearful, but with that fear only, you sometimes do exceptional things.
Yeah.
So that fear makes you take extra action or calculated risk, and you come out as a winner or something achiever.
All the time.
That is what the all leadership all about.
I feel that all these Medal of Honor, Paramveer Chakra winners and all, nobody ventures out of the company operating base or from your battalion to कि मैं आज PVC जीतूंगा.
Yes.
It all happens. It all happens in that heat of the moment.
Yes.
Maybe that you are lucky enough to be there at that point in time, and you could hold your fear and you did not die, and you could
Yes.
do it.
And you come up to that occasion.
Yes, you come
to
up.
that occasion.
Yeah.
Yes. What was needed.
Yeah, that's how it is. I do very strongly feel that, physical courage can be, it can vary from
Yes.
day to day. You can be very brave one day, you cannot be so brave the next day. I have experienced it myself. But moral courage and integrity is something which you should always have. That carries you through in life.
Yes, yes, yes. And that makes you different.
That makes you different
That
from
makes
others.
you.
Yeah.
So, Gaurav, then you happen to be nominated as the commanding officer of 26 Assam Rifle. He's came from the northeast to the J&K and had a tenure in J&K. Means heartthrob of that militancy, Machel sector, then Siachen, all this, and thereafter back to the again the hotbed of militancy,
yeah.
to the Manipur, and where the one thing which I read somewhere that as much as your battalion was afraid of you, you were equally afraid of the battalion.
Yeah, on the lighter side. See, okay, sir. Okay, let me explain it. This needs explanation. 26 AR, well, the blue chip, they're called the blue chips. They will ban me from the unit if they hear it. So I have to explain this. Now, what happened was, sir, that after staff college, I was G1 Ops Delta Force.
Okay.
Now, after Delta Force, I was expecting, because 7 para was being commanded by someone else. So I became a command surplus. So I I expected a nice place to command, मैंने कहा अभी मेरी इतनी फील्ड है यार, कहीं पीस पूस में जाऊंगा क्या. बट कमांड में तो कोई चॉइस नहीं होता. फौज में तो
Right.
इनफैक्ट कोई भी चॉइस नहीं होता किसी भी चीज का. दैट्स ओके, यू हैव टू एंजॉय व्हाट यू आर गेटिंग. So I tried at a lot of units कि यहाँ चला जाऊँ वहाँ चला जाऊँ. Well try पर काम ना आई. But one day I got a call from commandant of 26 Assam Rifles. So we had a 26 RR in Delta Force. तो मैंने कहा ये तो इसकी आवाज ही नहीं है, because I used to talk to them often. ठीक है. तो बोलता है पार्टनर congratulations, you are coming as the commandant of this unit. अच्छा कहाँ मतलब RR सर, डोडा भदरवा एरिया, कहाँ मणिपुर, कहाँ राष्ट्रीय राइफल, कहाँ आसाम राइफल. मैं तो मेरे को कहाँ पर,
Diagonally opposite.
हाँ कहाँ 7 पैरा, मतलब कैन यू इमेजिन ना द शॉक आई वुड हैव गॉट. तो मैंने कहा नो नो, आई थिंक आई एम नॉट टेकिंग ओवर 26 RRs, यू हैव जस्ट कम, you are grossly mistaken, you might be talking. मैंने कहा I'll divert your call to Arindam Chaudhary, he was a CO. मैंने कहा I'll divert your call to Colonel Chaudhary. तो बोलता है नो नो ब्रदर, आई एम कमांडेंट ऑफ 26 Assam Rifle from Manipur and you are coming to take over this unit. मैंने कहा व्हाट आर यू टॉकिंग सर. मैंने कहा यार मैं तो आई एम ऑलरेडी इन फील्ड ओनली, आई फिनिश 2.5 years हियर. मैं कहा आई एम ऑलरेडी इन सीआई ऑफ. बोलते नो नो, यू आर कमिंग हियर. तो मैंने कहा वेयर इज द यूनिट. तो इट्स नोने. अच्छा नोने मैंने गूगल का किया तो गूगल पे नोने नहीं आता था सर.
नहीं
कमिंग
आता.
लॉन्ग डिस्टेंस, नो गूगल में नहीं आता था. इट वाज सच अ प्लेस.
I remember जब मेरी पोस्टिंग लीमाकोंग में हुई थी, लीमाकोंग कहीं गूगल में नहीं था, गूगल के मैप में भी नहीं था.
हाँ तो क्या हुआ कि so I went to Manipur and see all sorts of stories you hear about AR कि they are tribals, उनके आधे तो हेड हंटर ट्रुप्स होते हैं यार, डिसिप्लिन इश्यूज होती हैं, सभी तरह के फ्रेंड्स होते हैं ना लाइफ में कि यार तू कहाँ यार मणिपुर में जा रहा है, चल ठीक है कोई नहीं यार, चल हो जाएगा, कोई नहीं हो जाएगा, लंबी कमांड होगी तेरी. तो बाय द टाइम आई रीच था, मैं तो आई वाज लाइक मॉटली स्केर्ड. मैंने कहा यार मैं जा कहाँ रहा हूँ. बट यू विल नॉट बिलीव इट सर, आई एम थैंकफुल टू गॉड दैट गॉड सेंट मी देयर एंड इंडियन आर्मी. I have I have had the bestest operational achievements over there with 26 Assam Rifle blue chips. I have had such a beautiful time with those soldiers. And again, lesson learned. What I brought out earlier. Every soldier is a soldier, sir. It's how you train them. You have to, they have to start believing in that commandant or commanding officer of theirs. The sky is the limit after that, sir. So I joined 26 AR, and then of course I was quite, there was a forlorn man. The road was also pura toota hua. Landslides aate rehte the raaste mein. There were accidented vehicles lying on the road. And, there's ROP you could see. It was just like, मैंने कहा यार, it's back to Vietnam only. And, I went to meet the brigade commander. He told me, रात में वहाँ फायरिंग की आवाज आती थी. So that all that entire area was cleared up by all of us, by the commander and all, and by the units and SF units, para units over there, one or two of them. So it was quite a shocker for me to reach there. And but then I also trained my unit. We started firing, we started physical training, we started everything, and within 3 months we started having our encounters in the jungle. So at that time, I used to smoke a lot. So one day my adjutant told me, he says, sir, the officers want to talk to you at the battalion headquarters. मैंने कहा, yeah, बुलाओ, what happened? So they said, sir, we want to talk to you. हाँ, मैंने कहा, हाँ भी बोलो, क्या बात है? And I used to be very irritated and somehow, hassled up with life at that point in time. Well, sir, you keep smoking and keep looking at the map and keep sending patrols where patrols have not gone for the past 2 months and we have encountered. He says, sir, your only life is you do 2.5 hours of PT, exercise, you smoke the whole day, you kick the shit out of everyone, and in the evening, you don't see any movies except for war movies. He says, sir, we want you to lighten up. मैंने कहा, okay, I'll lighten up. मैंने कहा, okay, I take your advice. What do you want me to do? बोलता सर थोड़ा जैज बैंड वगैरह लगाया करो, यू आर द सीईओ, सिर्फ आपके लिए लगा दो, ठीक है ना? And you listen to some nice songs, listen to music, can I have a drink sometime? कहते मतलब how will you remain like this all your life? कहते this is AR sir, soldiers want to see you, मतलब they are tribals and they are Gorkhas and all, most of them. So they like happy commanding officers who dance with them, who talk to them. And I go, so have a bada khana. I'll dance with them. No, sir, normally thoda lao aap. So that was another life lesson for me. To take life, don't sweat the small stuff stuff all the time. Don't sweat the small stuff, and take life by the lighter handle also. And then I learned how to play guitar, and I started singing songs with them. So that added another joy to life. And then I was alone over there, so I never felt out of place. We used to run together. We used to go out together to jungles. And yeah, in the Northeast, people invite you. The villagers invite you a lot. And my biggest achievement, I would say, that in that area, the villagers used to pray for the well-being of my battalion in their churches. We were so liked by everyone, and liked not by any cheap trick, by our good behavior, by our ethical actions, by our very, very good military civic action and all Sadbhavna actions, and by having a very, very humane attitude, a very large-hearted attitude towards civilians, and being morally absolutely uncorruptible and correct, with our behavior. And that's something, I have, during Christmas on my first year of command, I went to around 58 churches, sir, in 1 month. I walked to a lot of places where they prayed for us, and they said we have never seen a CO coming so far. And that was great. So when there was a Naga blockade on, Manipur, same situation, but not so violent. The Nagas they had blocked the valley, Manipur Valley. So I'm very proud to tell you, in my area, the civilians, of course, they did not support me, but yeah, they supported us that much that we sent in around 30,000 trucks full of essential supplies into the valley, and with just one truck damaged, and with no casualties, no civilian casualty, no casualty to our battalion, not even a scratch. And I commanded my unit. We had very large number of operational successes and games and sports successes and all. So it was a very, very good time. And then of course I took my battalion to Aizawl, to Mizoram. Aizawl was another kind of fun, and we had lots of good time. My wife and son also joined me there. I used to stay in a house which is a heritage building of the Northeast. It's called the Lock House. It was it's on Wikipedia, sir, and it was made in 1890. Yeah, so you will not believe it that tourists used to come inside the house to click pictures. So I had permitted it. I said it's okay. I said इतना मतलब सर 24 घंटे डर के नहीं रह सकते हो. You put AKs and light machine guns all around you. My son was there. I said, yeah, we'll live free. My wife used to go sometimes to buy sabji and all of this. I used to take a walk alone. But I was never alone. I knew that would to RP section, and SM Saab would always send 4 or 5 guys behind me. So, but Aizawl was another great, great time. We had some very, very we had very good relations with the civilians, and we had very good operational successes. Officers had a good time. Jawans had a good time. I organized a rock show. I organized rock shows for my Jawans. Because they were all most of them were Northeasterners and Gorkhas, and also told me, okay, so we want to have a rock show. So I called around 8 bands, twice or thrice, and we had rock shows for them in the games field. And we opened it for everyone actually. The battalion ka enclosure bana diya tha. So all those things we did. So it was a great time of command. And then of course from there I went to the para center, to Bangalore, and then to Jammu, where was my last posting, where I took a conscious call to, I wanted to follow a different career. And though I was very, very happy in the army and not doing too bad, ऐसा नहीं था कि मैं बहुत दुखी था कुछ था. I was very happy in the army. In fact, if I compare my days, I was happier in the army.
Naturally, it's always like that. It's always like that. But
Yes.
एक incident थी, Gaurav, that Warrington में you stop that cross-border smuggling by applying some unconventional ways.
Yes, yes. We in ISOL we used to operate with our civilian agencies also, and with intelligence agencies also. And my detachments and my teams were operating all over the international border in my area, and we established such a good network of this thing that we got a lot of drugs, we got a lot of illegal weapons, and so these operational successes, these are the operational successes. I remember distinctly that in one operation, one of my captains, who's just become a colonel, he's just picking up his rank, he
Okay.
just got approved. A very, very fit, handsome person, very motivated, very balanced sort of a guy. And he chased a weapon smuggler in the jungle. He ran behind. It is a very, very, as per me, it's a foolhardy. When you are operating in covert, in civil dress and all, you should never do all this. We should be jahan hai to jahan hai. But he ran after him, and that he caught him.
Oh,
And the smuggler actually bit him at around 18 places.
oh,
Such
single guy?
single guy, but very strong, and such was the intensity of the fight. By the time the other people reached and overpowered him, we used to have a lot of joint operations with our the other intelligence agencies operating in that area. We had some very good bond only with them. In fact, my best friends are from there only. If you see, my bestest friends in life are still, though I have not met them for many years now, but it is my heartfelt desire that this year in 23, I want to go and spend some time with them.
Certain.
Aizawl and, Mizoram is people are like, you will feel as if this is utopia, something dreamlike. There are shops, people are honest, they are disciplined, and they are like Spartans.
Yes.
They mean what they say. And there are shops, so they are unattended shops. The cost is written of items. You pick up the item and leave the money in the bottle.
Yeah.
Over there.
What is such thing happening in India is nearly unimaginable.
Yes, and very, very good place. I mean, the women are, if I may say, they are one of the most graceful women in India, and they are very, very cultured. Unlike what we sometimes we hear a lot of loose murmurs that it's not. They have their own culture, they have their own conservative, religion which they follow, just like us.
Yes.
And they are liberated also. They are cultured also. They don't trust you easily, but once you gain their trust, they are like, they open the hospitality like no holds bar, and they will really treat you like their own brother. But you have to really establish a trust with them, and trust is not easy to build, because you have to be very ethical and ethically correct in your behavior with people. You should be very. Luckily, I had chances to help a lot of people. So me and my unit mainly, we had a lot of good bond homie over there. People used to love us, respect us. They used to invite us to their functions and all. And my jawans used to push me कि साहब जाओ ना डांस करो अंदर. मैंने कहा नहीं मेरे को. कहते साहब करेगा, आपको करना ही पड़ेगा ये. कहते ये नॉर्थ ईस्ट है, यहाँ आपको करना है, नहीं तो आपसे कोई बात नहीं करेगा. And they are very good fighters, northeastern soldiers. They are built for the jungle. Their food habits and all are very, very good. They cook, they eat this very less. They eat, almost boiled food all the time. So, they are very fit physically, and I really respect them. I really respect them for
that's why you get so many good wrestlers, good boxers, and all this.
Yes, from there, and they are very
footballers.
Footballers, they are very good in football.
Yes.
They're very good in football. They're very good in all sports.
Yes.
Archery. Manipuris are very good in archery. And uh, it's if you ask me, Mizoram especially is like a untouched place. Uh, Beautiful valleys, beautiful jungles, good people, honest people. Most importantly, people are honest. So you learn a lot from such people. You learn
Nature.
about integrity, honesty, brotherhood. You learn about respecting each other's cultures. You know, a law of the land, respecting law of the land. So that's another very important part.
Gaurav, thereafter you happen to be in your alma mater, that your para regiment, school of para regiment. There, with such a vast experience, because you went to the fag end of your career, you left the army. Means you served in JNK, you served in Siachen, you served in Northeast, not once, twice, thrice. So that huge experience you might have really implemented with your training part of it. Because once you go with such a vast experience of all kind of militancy, insurgency, and you have to teach that to your boys, your recruits. How was that experience?
That was very good, sir. That paracenter experience was another. See, serving the paracenter is also actually, I had gone there after 7 years of fields continuously. I was in CIA ops for 7 years continuously, and then I had got Bangalore as a posting. So I took it more as a prize posting, as a reward, and I had a beautiful house. And the paracenter, we had officers naturally from the parachute regiment who are like, who themselves, the youngsters themselves are so motivated beyond. कुछ एक अलग सा जुनून होता है पैराट्रूपर्स के साथ रहने में, और हर एक बंदे के अंदर ही एक अलग जुनून जज्बा है कि वो ना, इट्स नॉट अबाउट फिटनेस, इट्स अबाउट दैट एटीट्यूड कीपिंग
Yes.
I feel that when you're physically, when you're supremely fit, it gives you a sense of internal well-being all the time. Or when you have that internal well-being, your mind works better, you're motivated. So, training to, of course, hota hi tha. We used to do a lot of physical activity in the mornings, and we used to do a lot of, used to take a lot of interest in what training is going on for our young budding paratroopers. And of course, it used to give you an occasional high when, when the passing out parade, you're taking a salute. It gives you a different kind of high, which nobody, if you're either you've been there or you've not been there, that way. And so that experience was very good. And after that long field tenure, what I did was, personally, if you, my achievement, I ran a half marathon. I
Oh,
got back into running, and I ran a half marathon, sir, with just 24 practices. So, I'm not ridiculing anyone. I have a super bike now. I have a Triumph Tiger 800. So I'm in those biking groups. So people talk about preparing to go into, trips into Himalayas. They talk about this thing. See, you should prepare for adventure. You should be fit physically. You should prepare, but don't over prepare for everything in life. You know, you will never get the perfect moment to do anything. You have to
yes.
take your, you have to take that, the point to decide, that point of decision has to come in, and now I'll do it. If you keep only preparing for it, you'll never do it. You'll keep preparing only, and your time will finish it. So I feel this way. So I tell people, okay, I mean, what's the big deal? I mean, just go. Practice for 4 weekends and just go to Leh on a bike. I said, ride till the time. I said, be safe. Start in the morning, rest in the evening. Don't ride in the snow, don't ride in the rain, don't ride in storm. That's it. बस मतलब ऐसा क्या करना है? Similarly, trekking के लिए जाना है तो be physically fit and take your basics and go prepared for it. So all these things matter a lot. Don't. I learned in the paracenter that never over prepare for things. You should just be ready to do a thing and take it to the logical conclusion. And of course, motivation should never go down. Motivation, you should never get affected by the chatter around you. You have to keep your internal chatter very, very strong. That's
Yes.
what I learned with those young officers in the para sector. And always, trying new things, trying new ways to train. trying new concepts of firing, trying new weapons, trying new adventures, planning for new adventures, you know, live joyfully. I mean, that's what I call living joyfully.
Yes, you are right. In
Yeah.
fact, Gaurav, what you said is a very important point. This कि perfection is just a perception.
Yeah.
There is nothing called perfect. The thing when you say that it is 80% ready, you should go for the kill,
Yes.
go for the action.
Bilkul.
Rest of the thing will be sorted on the way. So believe in the
Absolutely.
process rather than the destination.
Yes.
That is what the life is all about. Everywhere, it is not there only. Everywhere in the life, there is no perfection.
There's no perfection.
It is the action which matters. It is the process.
Yes. Yeah.
And that is the life. But वहाँ एक कहानी थी जो अपने एक नाम दिया था जिसका सौर्यम दक्षम मुद्धे मतलब
Oh, okay. So this, oh, sir, you are, oh, how nice of you. Okay. So, क्या हुआ था, sir? I got a posting. I was fortunate to get a posting as a combat skills training commander in the Special Forces Training School at Nahan. So we were the first team of the school. I mean, it used to be a training wing earlier, and then we were the first team. So all these things, make vision, mission, values, all this. So we had to choose a motto. So my commandant was Colonel V.B. Shinde from 21 parasf. He called me. He says, "You are a Pandit." He says, "Gaurav, now exercise your Pandit Giri, and you make this motto from Gita, or you can make it from any religious." I looked at him and I said, okay, but how do you feel? How can you think that I'm so? कहता, no, you are a religious man. You are a spiritual guy. I know that. He said, chalo, take it, and I'm giving you 1 week's time. Can you take more time, but make a good one. So then what happened was that मेरे late father-in-law ने मेरे को एक परमहंस योगानंद जी का जो इंस्टीट्यूट है, उनका जो संस्था है, उसकी एक गीता दी थी, 2 ब्लू कलर की, वो है उधर रखी हुई है अभी भी. So I went through, page by page with my wife and with 1 or 2 officers. Okay. So finally, from chapter 7 and 8 of Gita, we picked up these words, Shauryam Dakshyam Yuddhe. And then I forgot about it. I actually forgot about it, sir. Army mein, you will relate to it, no? There is no big deal of things. You've done your job and you've moved on.
Yeah, absolutely.
है ना? तो बड़ा वो एक मूवी आई थी जिसमें वो शौर्यम दक्षिण, सम मूवी ऑन पैराज, हिंदी मूवी थी सर.
हाँ. अभी
उरी
उरी उरी सर्जिकल स्ट्राइक.
हाँ, उरी जो मूवी आई थी, तो उसमें मेरे को बड़े लोगों ने बोला कि सर आपको भी देखनी चाहिए. तो मैंने देखी. मैं अपने वाइफ और बेटे के साथ गया पिक्चर में. तो उसमें वो लड़की थी, तो वो मार्टर की जो थी, शहीद की, तो उसने बोला कि शौर्यम दक्षियम युद्धे. तो मैंने कहा ये तो मैंने बनाया यार. And my wife said, हाँ ये तो हमने बनाया यार. Awesome. And we were like thrilled out of, it was like, oh wow, ये तो मूवी में यूज हो रहा है. So then I got back to it, and वो मेरे पास pages marked नहीं है शायद उसमें जहाँ से उठाया है. तो this is Lord Krishna telling Arjun. तो उन्होंने बोला कि शौर्य और प्रशिक्षण के साथ आप युद्ध में हमेशा दक्ष रहो. Be in pursuit of excellence, So it is relating to in pursuit of excellence. शौर्यम दक्षयम युद्धे मतलब valor and hard training to win battles. Yes. This is one of the very important facets.
Sometimes those small contribution signs you somewhere of other.
Yeah, and then I went back to SFTS after I left the army. They really welcomed me very nicely. I felt very touched. It was a very good moment, to be there. I spent a lot of time there.
One point of time, Gaurav, you were a very high flying or rather best pistol firer, and you appeared for the Olympic selection also. What was that? How that happened? And
अरे सर वो क्या हुआ कि in Special Forces school के बाद हुआ था. In SFTS we used to do a lot of firing, and we used to be on the ranges every day. So I used to fire 100-150 rounds with all my friends. you know, all these captains who were there with me.
The part
So
of
we,
7 para.
no, Special Forces Training School.
Acha, special forces training.
So after that, I came back to the battalion, and suddenly my firing standards became very good. तो ब्रिगेड में पिस्टल फायरिंग कंपटीशन हुआ, तो वो उसमें मैं फर्स्ट आ गया. सीओ ने बोला कि यू आल्सो फायर. मैं 2IC था, आई वाज द सेकंड इन कमांड ऑफ द यूनिट. मेरा स्टाफ कॉलेज पास हो चुका था. तो आपको पता है ना, स्टाफ कॉलेज पास होने के बाद जब तक स्टाफ कॉलेज नहीं जाते हो, तो every at that time it is a different high again. Na? You consider yourself something, you know, a hybrid of, you know, Rommel and Manstein both. कि बस मैं तो you know.
We can see that in your pictures.
So I was sitting आराम से फायरिंग हो रही थी. So apparently I think हमारे एक दो लोग they were not winning. So CO told me, Gaurav, you also go and fire. So I won, you know, and my coachmate was there to help me. तो he said बहुत अच्छा फायर हो रहा है. कहता है ये 5वां राउंड कहाँ जाएगा. मैंने कहा 5वां राउंड तो ये 4 राउंड के बीच में ही जाएगा बड़ी टक. And it went. So then I was sent to Central Command trials. But Central Command trials में फिर वो ऑप्शन होना पड़ता है ना सर, either you be here or you go to staff college. So then I opted out of the whole thing, and then I went for staff college, sir.
Okay.
So that's how I did these trials, and yeah, I practiced a lot, sir. See, sir, nothing comes easy, sir.
Yeah, nothing comes. Nothing comes.
You know, so what we see is that 5 minutes of success in an encounter, 5 minutes of success in the pistol firing. Maybe my firing is still very good. I still go and fire sometimes. In Bombay also, I go somewhere to fire in an army establishment. Sometimes I go to check. I still fire very well. But you know, people will not realize the journey behind it.
Yes.
When I was in class 4, my father bought me an air gun. And he taught me how to blow off candles with an air gun, how to hit the candle. So, sir, what happened was that by the time I reached that level of firing, it became second nature to me, perhaps.
Yes.
You know,
that is where the seeds were sown into you to become a firer as well as para officer and army officer as such.
So we have that air gun somewhere in my hometown. Abhi bhi hai wo. So
yeah, go ahead.
No, please, sir. Sorry.
This para school is for Jawans or army officer as well.
Sir, Special Forces Training School is a school. It's a CATA establishment, and where officers and men all train.
All train.
Even friendly foreign countries also come to training.
Okay.
They run advanced courses for the paras, shoot regiment, and others. And if I won't talk about other training, I will talk about the advanced medical course. So if a person who is qualified in advanced medical course is able to do minor surgeries also. So with a gunshot wound, he will stitch you up and take out the bullet in jungle, and you can save. That kind of expertise they teach.
Nature.
And
one needs it in para.
Yes. So very, very highly professional training and very, very focused training all the time.
Gaurav, क्या मतलब पता ही नहीं चला आपकी जो जितने भी experiences and brilliant experiences. It's not that in fact the viewers जो हमारे सुन रहे हैं, they must have got a lot of learnings and a lot of insight into what para is all about. So जाते जाते, what would you like to give a one learning to our persons, those who wanted to join para or those who wanted to do something in life? Means आजकल क्या है ना, छोटी छोटी मुसीबतें आ जाती हैं तो उसी से लोग अपने भटक जाते हैं and they think पता नहीं क्या जिंदगी में. And one point you said कि जिंदगी में मौत तो एक ही बार आनी है. So might you smile with that? Keeping those things in mind, what would you like to say to our mid-career professionals आज के जो भटक जाते हैं, छोटी सी ऑब्स्टिकल आने में दुखी हो जाते हैं, उनको क्या कहना?
Never lose hope. Success is not final and failure is not final.
Absolutely.
Enjoy the journey all the time.
Yes. I repeat that. failure is not fatal and success is never final. Success is a journey. So what Gaurav said is absolutely true, and it is applicable whether you are in the army or not in the army, or whether you are in corporate. Everywhere, if you follow this mantra, you will never be disheartened. And life is a journey. It's a journey, not a destination. बस चलते जाओ, अपना करते जाओ. Gaurav, thank you so much for giving so much of wisdom to me and my viewers as well.
Thank you so much, sir.
And it was a pleasure talking to you.
Same here, sir. Pleasure was all mine, and thank you. I'm grateful that you found me worthy enough to be with you, with the likes of you. And
Not worthy. We are really privileged to have you. We are really privileged to have you.